It's and another edition of Lessons from My Mentor. This one's from my dad. And I can't give you an exact year because it's just kind of happened as we grow up. But it's about resilience. And what we found out when Chris Ross and I wrote the book Diagnosed, in our research, we found out that resilience played a super key role in people's healing, more so than attitude. I always thought attitude is the key to overcoming, huge adversity. And while it's important, it was really the concept of resilience. So you could have a bad attitude, but be resilient, and that would get you through a lot of challenges. So the question always comes up, how do you develop resiliency? Is it taught? Are you born with it? Nature, nurture? I know for me, I was raised by parents that survived the Holocaust. My dad literally in concentration camps came through all that, as an orphan, and to the United States as an immigrant, and, a lot of adversity. So I kind of grew up with that. My mom, similar war experience, but not in concentration camp. So they both, lost her parents, was bombed every day, all that kind of stuff. So they were very resilient people raising resilient kids. Then we came to the United States, and I was 10, and I still dressed like a Bavarian, like in what's called lederhosen, like you watch Sound of Music, that kind of clothing. Now imagine that, everyone else wearing jeans and cool, like concert t-shirt, and I was wearing lederhosen. And so had to, got picked on, all that kind of stuff. It had to become resilient. Then went to the Army and almost got kicked out, and just had to fight my way through it, overcome all the odds. Resiliency. I went to college. I flunked out. Became a drunk, fought my way back. That just fostered more resiliency, like created more resiliency in me. And then so throughout my career, I would always be like, there's the haves and haves not. I was like kind of like have not. I wanted to be a haves. It's like, I'm going to catch them. How do I catch them? How do I become better? How do I better myself? Just being resilient in the face of, I was literally with a master's degree working Teledyne water pick assembly lines, putting together shower heads. So again, but I didn't ever give up. It says resiliency, flunking out of school. I think I mentioned already, when I talked about being alcoholic. So how, if you don't have that experience, how can you cultivate it? And they say that the best way is kind of a slow exposure and then making choices that enable you to become more resilient. So that's really what I want to talk about, is how you do that. So even in my story, I had to do it. So yeah, I was raised by resilient people, which sort of made me a little bit resilient already. But I went through all these hardships. I mean, I'm telling you, it was hard. The things I just glossed over them, but they were hard. I could have chosen to become a victim, no resiliency. I could have chosen to say, well, I guess I'm not meant to be much, and no resiliency. But I had this resiliency. It later super paid off for me when I had cancer. And what came first? My heart attack came first. And, when I was in the middle of a race, many people know the story, and I kept running, through a widow picture. As resiliency that saved my life, and then the whole cancer thing. Resiliency, slow, purposeful steps you can take to become resilient. So whenever there's a dilemma or a stressor, don't run from the stress. We run from the stress many different ways. Sometimes we drink it away, smoke it away, drug it away, avoid it, minimize it. So don't do that anymore. Just start taking that stressor and face it, right? Face the demon, face the wound, because that's how you're going to build resiliency. If you keep running from it, you're not going to build the resiliency, and you may need it to save your life one day, to make your career. So that's it. Dilemmas. Then try stuff. So something's naturally going to happen to you, these dilemmas, these challenges, and you're going to face them head on in a very professional way. Take on challenges. Stop drinking. That's a good one. You want to test your build resiliency. That's a tough one, man. I've done it a few times, where I've gone for like a whole year or more and not drinking. That's tough, but that builds resiliency. Or maybe it's losing weight, that fighting that temptation all the time, that builds resiliency in you, and you'll be more resilient. Exercising. So it's like, I'm going to exercise every day or do weight. You're going to face dilemma where you're tired and you don't want to go in. You're sore and you don't want to go in. You feel like you have no time and you don't want to go in. Go in and work out. So again, sounds trite maybe, but these build on each other and it builds up this resiliency. The other thing is to repair relationships. So think about, okay, what relationships do you have that are damaged? And maybe part of it's because you ran from them, you didn't face them head on, or maybe there's other reasons. But go try to repair them. Now, not all of them are going to be repairable, but it's the act of repairing that's going to help build resiliency. So you're going to learn how to work through the issues, how to communicate better, how to deal with, the stuff, the pain. That's what builds resiliency. Another, maybe write a book, try something hard, learn to dance. Those will build resiliency because, again, for the same reasons I already cited, but these are just other ideas in case you didn't like any of my other former ideas. Another one, again, do something big and bodacious. Iron Man. I'm going to do the Iron Man. That's like crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. And again, whatever it is, maybe it's not Iron Man for you, something else, something hard. It's going to build resiliency. And that's what this whole lesson is about. How do you build resiliency? I'm just trying to be super practical with you. I've already given you a lot of ideas. Go and get your master's degree. So let's just say you just have your bachelor's. Go and get your master's degree. That's going to build resiliency, right? Because you have to have discipline. You have to study. You have to face demons. You're going to have to work with other people that you might not like. All these different things. Another favorite of mine is dance, right? I'm always, not always, but often I've learned new dances. I'm not very good at it, but I try as being resilient because in many ways, because man, you look like a fool. I look like you don't, but when I dance, I can look like a fool. So it's like, oh, okay, so you just build up this resiliency. Like that's not going to bother me. I'm just going to have fun. That's what it's all about. Climb a mountain, or it's a 10K, or I saw some people on LinkedIn recently did like the rim to rim at the Grand Canyon. Something bodacious. Those will build resiliency. Really work on the resiliency in the workplace. It'll transfer over to the workplace. Try to give you some direct work examples, but some of these are actually work examples where you don't avoid that person. You actually like confront them in a loving way and work things out. You take on that hard role. That's the other thing. Let's just say there's some roles that no one wants and things need to get done, and you don't really want to do it for a wide variety of reasons. Well, just do it. Just build that resiliency, that capability that, it'll become like inertia where it's just like, just the way you are. I'm telling you, all these different things will help because there'll come a day for all of us, and it'll come a day in the workplace and for sure in life where you're going to want to have that reserve, that capability of resiliency to face the greatest challenge of your life. So definitely work on it. That's it. Thanks, Dad.